Sweetness is not really a full horror movie. I would consider it more of a psychological thriller or thriller than in a drama than a horror film. I saw about 10 seconds of the trailer on Instagram. It is a Canadian movie, which is why it was targeted towards my social media, but it was interesting enough to check out. This one is about Rylee. She is a young teenage girl who's depressed and recently lost her mom. So she doesn't have much going on in her life except for two things: her best friend Sydney and her fandom of a band called Floor Plan, and the hunky, effeminate lead singer Payton, who's Norwegian, and his music has really helped her. It's the only thing keeping her going. She listens to it all day at school, doesn't have any friends except for Sydney, and her dad's pretty cold and leaves her home a lot because he's a cop who works. And she's got a stepmom, but she doesn't like her. So Rylee and Sydney are going to a Floor Plan concert because they're in town. However, they get separated after the concert, and Rylee gets hit by a car, gently, like a love tap. But it's basically Payton who's trying to get away, and he doesn't want to cause a scene, so he offers her a ride home, and she's, gobsmacked and starstruck that she's getting to spend time with her favorite singer. However, he's not as charming as she would like, and then he scores drugs and gets high, and it devastates her because he's supposed to be sober. He's like on this sober path thing, and he's trying to be in the news anyway, but in real life he's just a junkie. So he ends up passing out in her house because he's a degenerate, and he acted out. So she used her father's handcuffs to attach him to the bed to sort of let him chill out, and invites over Sydney for help because they can't call for an ambulance or police or anything because they'll get in trouble, but they also don't want to ruin his career because of his old thing. They don't want a scandal. However, that's the concept of the movie. They kidnap a pop star in order to help him dry out against his will, and it ends up escalating and getting weirder and weirder. I thought this was going to be like a stalker movie, but it's not. It's more organic than that, and that's what makes it less of a horror and more of a drama thriller. And you're just waiting for that line. There's that line of like civility of where she could easily just uncuff him and let him go and wash her hands of the whole situation, but she just keeps going and keeps just inches forward in a really uncomfortable way where it just keeps crossing, not crossing the line yet, but then eventually gets there about the halfway point. I'd have to say that the second half of the movie is a little underwhelming. It's definitely plays it safe. It's pretty simple. I still like the character development and the acting and the concept. Some shocking moments too, but overall, I feel the movie doesn't take enough risks in the second half to be audacious enough, and turns into kind of a drama. Just kind of everything just falls apart and then comes together a little bit too neatly. So there's a nice director debut from Emma Higgins, and Justin Chatwin's in this, and he's like my age kind of, and it's weird seeing him as a dad role, but overall strong cast, but second half a little weak. So I give Sweetness a 5 out of 10.